After the get-together, my younger brother got drunk and started acting crazy. In the middle of the night, he barged into my room to tease me about not having a boyfriend. I couldn't be bothered to argue and snapped back, "If you're so good, find me one." He turned around and left, only to come back dragging in a handsome guy from the next room who had nothing on but a towel wrapped around his waist. Still half asleep, I opened my eyes and found myself staring straight at a face that looked like it was carved out of marble. Earlier that night, my brother Daniel had gotten so drunk he slow danced with our dog and even climbed onto the table, pretending to be some ancient Roman god. I threw a pillow straight at his face to shut it down, kicked him out of my sight, and headed back to the hotel room to sleep. Daniel couldn't handle the cold shoulder and barged into my room again. He started bragging about how he'd just successfully confessed to his longtime crush, who, by the way, was also my best friend, and then turned around to mock me for being single. Enough is enough. I gave him a tight-lipped smile, ready to slap some sense into him, but suddenly the voice of my bestie echoed in my head like a demon warning. "Don't you dare ruin that perfect 360-degree jawline of your brother?" Fine. Instead of slapping him, I went for a punch in the shoulder and snapped, "Then go find me a boyfriend already." He looked stunned, like I just asked him to move a mountain. "You're not my sister," he said, almost tearfully. "My sister would have just slapped me across the face." I shot him a glare that could kill weeds. "Go home, kid. Go home." Daniel looked down, surprisingly quiet, clearly lost in thought. Then, all of a sudden, his eyes lit up like he'd just made the most important decision of his life. Without a word, he turned, pirouetted, and dashed off like a ballet dancer in fast forward. I sighed and tried to fall back asleep. It was peaceful, for about 5 minutes. "Sis, get up now. I found you a boyfriend." He yanked me out of my dream like a deranged alarm clock. I was shaking with rage. I grabbed him by the collar and growled through clenched teeth. "Whoever you found, what does that have to do with me? Daniel, if you wake me up again, I swear I'll unleash every ounce of sarcasm in my soul on you." Daniel's eyes started to water under my grip. He turned his head and yelled out, "Bro-in-law! Help me!" The whole room froze. I didn't even flinch. Figured he was just rambling nonsense again. Without missing a beat, I flipped the switch to full roast mode. "Bro-in-law? Are you dreaming while awake? Your imaginary brother-in-law died of sarcasm years ago. No one's gonna protect you anymore, kid. Better brace for impact." Click. Just as he finished speaking, something clattered loudly in the living room. I flinched and looked up instinctively, then froze. The handsome guy standing in the living room, the one who had witnessed the whole chaotic mess, locked eyes with me for a second, pressed his lips together awkwardly, then turned away with visible discomfort. The air instantly turned thick with tension and awkward silence. He was clearly embarrassed, too. I mean, the guy was still standing there, wrapped in nothing but a towel, and Daniel had dragged him here like some kind of offering. As our eyes met again, I tilted my head slightly. His features were sharp and clean-cut, his face glowing under the soft silver light of the moon that streamed in through the window. He looked warm, calm, and clear, like a lake at dawn. It was like a jolt of electricity hit me. A name shot into my head. James Carter. The most popular guy from our university. My secret crush for 3 years. He was so ridiculously handsome. His name was constantly mentioned on our campus confession page. 3 years, and no one had ever successfully gotten his contact info. The definition of an unreachable dream guy. Then I remembered what had just happened. Me, grabbing Daniel by the collar and screaming my head off. Did he hear all of that? A wave of shame crashed over me and spread through every cell of my body. How did Daniel, of all people, manage to bring over the exact person I liked out of hundreds at this resort? I quickly pulled the blanket up over myself, tried to fix my bird's nest hair, and carefully climbed off the bed with as much grace as I could muster. I had hoped our first encounter would be charming and elegant. I forgot I was wearing those prison-stripe pajamas, and my long, straight black hair made me look like I'd just stepped out of a horror movie. James Carter seemed a little stunned by my outfit. I was so mortified, my voice came out trembling. I'm so sorry. We were a bit tipsy earlier. Sorry we disturbed your rest. Let me walk you back? It's all right, really. You're not disturbing anything, he said, gently shaking his head, his voice as smooth and soft as spring water. I looked up to meet his gaze. He smiled at me, just as a beam of moonlight glinted off his abs, still dripping with water. My heart skipped a beat. The moment was actually perfect. It should have been sweet, magical. If only Daniel hadn't ruined it. No, you can't go, bro-in-law, Daniel wailed dramatically. If you leave, how will I survive? She'll beat me to death. He even managed to squeeze out a few fake tears. To my horror, James didn't deny the whole brother-in-law thing. In fact, after Daniel's tearful antics, he even reluctantly shared his contact info with him. Before leaving, James looked at me like he wanted to say something, but ended up just shaking his head. All he said was, "Good night." I forced a smile and waved, trying to stay calm even as my heart felt like it was doing backflips. "Good night," I replied. Right after they connected, Daniel sneakily sent my WeChat to him behind my back. I hadn't even had time to react yet when I received a friend request from James Carter. His WeChat avatar was a little boy holding an umbrella, watching the snowfall, lonely, like he was waiting for someone. Before I could overthink it, I heard Daniel sending a voice message to James. "Bro-in-law, just talk to my sister regularly. That way she won't have time to..." I grabbed a pillow, ready to throw it again. Daniel quickly changed his tone. "Won't have time to scold me anymore." Exactly, that's it. My sister is great at giving people emotional value. It's her superpower. James didn't respond to him. Instead, he sent me a message. "Hi, I'm James Carter. I think we went to the same university?" I scrambled to type back. "Hi, I'm Vivian Du. Of course, I've definitely heard of you before. We were even in the same photography club." Not just heard of. I'd been crushing on him for 3 whole years, but I never dared to ask for his contact info. I was too scared of rejection. After sending that message, I saw that James's typing ends indicator and took a deep breath. Mustering all the courage I had, I went for it. Now that the new semester started, we'll probably run into each other more often. If I ever have questions about coursework, can I ask you? You're not allowed to say no. In real life, I'm all polite and reserved. But online, I go full offense. After sending the message, I quickly opened Xiaohongshu and scrolled through some funny posts to calm myself down. But my heart was racing, and my hands were already going numb. What if he rejected me? Just as the thought crossed my mind, his reply came. "I'd never say no to you." I finally exhaled, relieved, then went back to my usual self, posting little updates online. I wrote, "My drunk little brother just helped me connect with my longtime crush. Didn't see that one coming." I didn't expect it to go viral. Comments started flooding in. One user said, "Do you have any more genius brothers to spare?" Another, "This guy added you so fast. Does he secretly like you or what?" "I'm just here to eat popcorn and wait for the next episode." As I was scrolling through the replies, a very familiar username caught my eye. 1102. The comment? Wait, what even is Krath? It had been posted early, so it was buried under newer comments. 1102 has followed me for 5 years. Same age as me. Every time I post something, they're always the first to comment. This time was no different. I was about to reply and had just tapped the like button, then fell asleep without realizing it. The next morning, I checked again. That comment from 1102 was now top comment, and people had started a riot under it. Kung Ah. Krath sounds a lot like crap. Is your dream guy just a pile of crap? Sis, are you even sure about that translation? Krath sounds like it means brief or temporary, like someone you used to like but don't anymore. 1102 replied to nearly every single comment. Honestly, I've never seen them type this much in all these years. And I couldn't take it anymore. One comment shut down the entire battlefield. Krath means I like that person. 1102 instantly replied, So? You like him? Well, I like you. I couldn't help but laugh. Then I like you too. Back at school, my best friend immediately scooted over next to me, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Vivian, I heard from Daniel you're now friends with James Carter? The moment she said it, like some secret keyword had been triggered, all our roommates rushed over and swarmed around me, buzzing like bees. Vivian, do you know? In all of James Carter's 3 years at university, not a single girl ever managed to get his contact info. And yet you just casually added him? That's insane! What's so unbelievable? One of them chimed in. Our Vivian is stunning. Of course he'd be interested. I waved my hands to shut it down. No. James Carter's not interested in me like that. He's just being polite. That's all just gossip. Tiffany, who'd always liked James Carter and was standing nearby, rolled her eyes and snorted. Yeah, it's just a friend request. Big deal. Everyone has one. Why make it sound like a royal achievement? My best friend immediately stepped in to defend me. Come on, everyone knows how many times you tried to add James and got rejected. Now that Vivian managed it, you're salty? Tiffany stomped her foot in frustration and pulled out her phone to prove her point. Whatever. Look, I do have him as a friend, all right? I leaned over to peek. Yep, that was definitely James Carter's avatar. I was about to admit maybe she wasn't lying, but just then, she accidentally tapped back on the chat screen, and it jumped to her conversation with our academic advisor. We all saw the message loud and clear. Professor, could you send me a screenshot of your friends list to show that you have James Carter added? My friend burst out laughing. Oh my God, Tiffany! You even asked a teacher for backup? You couldn't add him yourself, so now you're using assist powers? Tiffany blushed hard, her face turning crimson all the way to her ears. She stammered, trying to defend herself. Well, it's not like Vivian added him herself either. Her brother did it for her. I looked at her and smiled calmly. Wait, how did you know that? I never told anyone. Are you secretly stalking my Xiaohongshu account or what? Tiffany's eyes darted away, and she turned on her heel, snapping. As if I'd waste time stalking you. Don't think you're the only one people care about. But the burning red tips of her ears betrayed her. That night, I posted about the drama with Tiffany, clearly determined to find out who 102 really was. Sure enough, 1102 commented again. She likes the same guy as you. Why are you still saying nice things about her? Aren't you afraid she'll steal the person you like? When I first posted, I was sure 1102 couldn't possibly be Tiffany, but reading that comment now, I wasn't so sure anymore. In the end, I made up my mind. I had to DM 1102. Whether it was Tiffany or not, I was going to brainwash this person once and for all. There are so many men in this world. Why get stuck on just one? And remember this, if a man can be taken, then he was never your destiny to begin with. If the person you like doesn't make the first move, then you have to, because that might be your only chance. That last line wasn't just for 1102. It was for me too. Yes, be the one to act. I opened my chat with James Carter, only to see a new message already waiting for me. Are you free tomorrow? I need a favor, and would like to treat you to a meal first. I froze. His initiative completely caught me off guard. My fingers, hovering mid-typing, trembled as I hit send. Sure. Then quickly followed it up with a panicked correction. I mean, yes, I'm free. That's what I meant. Right at that moment, another message popped in. From 1102. So, the person you like would never make the first move? Still in disbelief, I replied. Most of the time, yeah. But there are always exceptions. I was so fixated on the idea of having dinner with James that night, I barely got any sleep. I showed up the next morning with dark circles that made me look like a raccoon. My best friend noticed immediately. Vivian, didn't we just say we'd skip marathon training yesterday? Why do you look like you ran one solo? I weakly waved her off. James said he wanted to take me out after class. Who could sleep knowing that? What? She gasped. Before she could say more, Tiffany butted in with her usual skepticism. That's impossible. James Carter would never make the first move. Surprisingly, my bestie didn't even argue back this time. She just pulled out every beauty product from her bag and started doing my makeup right there on the spot. She even spritzed perfume behind my ears and on my wrists. "Vivian," she whispered, "you're absolutely radiant today. Trust me, he won't be able to take his eyes off you." I patted my cheeks to cool them down, looked up, and there he was. James Carter was standing at the door of the lecture hall, eyes quietly resting on me. The corners of his lips lifted into a soft smile. "Let's go, classmate." It felt like a scene straight out of a romance movie. Even my best friend, usually so chill, nudged me hard in the ribs and whispered, "Go! Hurry! Don't keep your classmate waiting." Honestly, it made sense she got along with Daniel. The two of them were the same breed of drama-hungry chaos. The BBQ spot wasn't far, just a 5-minute walk, but it felt like forever. On the way, I kept overthinking. Should I eat a lot or play it cute and eat less? I got so distracted, I didn't even see a bike coming right at me. Thankfully, James pulled me out of the way just in time. Before I could fully process what happened, his arm had wrapped around my waist, holding me close. The faint scent of jasmine on him brushed past my nose, and I turned beet red from head to toe. And right then, who else but Daniel and my best friend strolled by. "Hey sis, hey bro-in-law, you two here for BBQ too?" Both James and I immediately sprang apart like guilty teenagers. I cursed Daniel in my head, spun around, and caught James's face. He was blushing, deeply, from his neck all the way to the tips of his ears. He quickly apologized, flustered. Sorry, that was an emergency reaction." I nodded, trying not to laugh. It was way too cute. Does anyone else get this feeling? He's just too adorable. I can't even. During the entire meal, I didn't move a finger. Chopsticks? James Carter handed them to me. Meat? James grilled it. Grilling? James did it all. My one and only mission, eat. Normally, I don't even eat much. But somehow, everything he picked was exactly what I liked. Every single dish hit the bullseye. If we hadn't just met not long ago, I would have seriously suspected he was stalking my food diary. "Classmate Vivian," he said suddenly, "did you go to South Central High back then?" I blinked, surprised. How did he know that? Before I could ask, James pointed toward Daniel, smiling. "Your brother told me." Right on cue, Daniel's voice rang out from behind us. "Baby sis, remember how many guys chased after you freshman year at South Central? You got so many love letters your hands were sore from opening them." My best friend joined in immediately. "Oh, I remember that. Even after Vivian transferred to our school in sophomore year, a bunch of people still came asking about her. I blocked all of them. At some point, without me noticing, Tiffany had slipped in behind me, her voice dripping with sarcasm. I just want to say, after Vivian left our class, nobody really cared anymore." Ugh. I felt a headache coming on. I ignored her, swallowed my irritation, and changed the subject. "So, you mentioned earlier that you needed my help with something?" James paused for a second, then said calmly, "Lately my family's been pressuring me to find a girlfriend." That one line made my heart clench. He continued, "I've been ignoring them, so now they're threatening to send me abroad." He hadn't even finished the sentence yet when I slammed the table and shot up. My mouth moved faster than my brain. "Come on! This is the 21st century. You should be free to date whoever you want. Worst case, I'll pretend to be your girlfriend and deal with your parents for you." The moment the words left my mouth, silence. The kind of thick silence that fills entire rooms. Then, pop! Daniel and my bestie both snorted at the same time, breaking the tension. I froze in place, slowly looked up, and ran right into James Carter's eyes, twinkling with amusement. He smiled softly and said, "All right. Sounds good. I'll leave it to you then, classmate Do." I couldn't believe it. Did I really just sell myself that easily? That night, when I posted the story online, I still felt like I was living in a dream. The internet? They were practically choking on laughter. "You're a genius, girl. You deserve this love story. We stand this chaos." And all I could think was, me? In love? With this man? I must have really hit the jackpot. Internet comment section, popcorn mode, on. Girl, if you're clever enough to offer to fake date him, the other side better hire a stronger chess master next time. Why not just say, "Can I be your girlfriend?" Straight up? Would have saved a whole plot line. Of course, not everyone was cheering. One user, under the name Don't Pick James, even slid into my DMs. "Sis, guys who use emotional manipulation tactics, red flag. What if he takes you home and knocks you out? I think he's plotting something. Please be careful. Don't get sold off and still be smiling about it." I saw her familiar profile picture and sighed. Yeah, I hear you, Tiffany. After that, Don't Pick James went radio silent. Not another word. 11:02 didn't jump in right away either. Maybe busy, maybe just watching. More than 10 minutes later, a single line appeared. "Sis, stay calm." Probably meant well. Truth is, I was going to meet his parents soon. I just didn't expect it to be this soon. I hadn't even prepared any gifts. Thankfully, what Tiffany feared didn't happen. James didn't bring me to some formal family dinner at his house. He brought his parents to a classy little cafe, simple, cozy, and elegant. And when Mr. and Mrs. Carter showed up in front of me, I was so stunned I couldn't even form a full sentence. All I could muster was a polite, "Hello, sir." "Hello, ma'am." Then a brief self-introduction before nervously sipping my drink, pretending to be busy. Mrs. Carter reached out and gently held my hand with warmth in her eyes. "You're Vivian, right? Oh my, we've heard so much about you from James." At her signal, Mr. Carter placed 2 gift boxes on the table. One box had a full gold jewelry set, necklace, bracelet, and ring. The other, the deed to a house, in my name. I almost passed out right there. I swear this didn't feel like parents trying to get rid of their son at all. James, sitting beside me, made me feel safe the entire time. When he noticed me frozen in place, he gently explained on my behalf, even accepted the gifts for me and placed them at my side. "Sorry, Mom, Dad. We didn't have time to prepare gifts. It was all so sudden." Mrs. Carter waved it off like it was no big deal. "As long as you two are here together, that's all that matters." "Son, do your best, okay? Vivian, sweetie, drop by and chat with me more often, okay?" Before they left, she answered a phone call. Apparently, someone was inviting her to a group square dancing session. I heard the voice on the other end, and it sounded way too familiar. I called out on instinct. "Mom?" Mrs. Carter froze. "Vivian, honey, that switch-up was fast." Then, the voice on the phone echoed through the speaker. "Vivian, how far have you two gotten already?" Turns out, my parents had flown in too, with James's parents. Now all 4 were seated around us in a perfect circle, like an interrogation board, ready for a serious Q&A session. As it turned out, Mrs. Carter and my mom had met at those square dancing sessions before. They only knew each other as moms with kids the same age. They even joked back then, maybe we'll be in-laws someday. Who knew it would happen? Like this. Who would have thought? Turns out my dad and Mr. Carter were old classmates. But the twist? My dad can't stand the guy. I sat there exhausted, screaming internally, why is my life turning into a full-blown drama series? Out of all the people on this planet, how did all these coincidences end up crashing down on us? My dad was so mad. Even his mustache was twitching. He glared at me without saying a word, just flipped his teacup upside down with exaggerated flair. My mom, on the other hand, was the exact opposite. Everything about James Carter seemed to please her. She kept gasping and praising him, chatting away with Mrs. Carter like they were lifelong sisters. I secretly nudged James and leaned over to whisper, "James, do you think there's still time for us to make a run for it?" He stiffened a little, gave me a look that said, "I feel you." And for some reason, that helpless expression made me kind of melt. Yeah, let's get out of here. He grabbed both gift boxes, took my hand, and stood up. Uncle, Auntie, Mom, Dad, we've been out a bit too long. Still have to study for our exams. We should get back to school. My mom nodded furiously like a bobblehead. Yes, 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 go on, go on. Come visit over summer break, okay? Meanwhile, Mr. Carter grabbed my dad by the arm. Come on, old buddy, we were classmates. Let's grab a drink, just the two of us. That night, I stumbled back into the dorm with the 2 gift boxes in my arms, still in a daze. Later, Daniel told me my dad got so drunk that evening he ended up sobbing on Mr. Carter's shoulder. Apparently, Daniel had to drag him home. After that family chaos, my relationship with James Carter took a strange and beautiful turn. I started showing my true colors, texting him things like, "Any girls talk to you today?" "No one?" "Then I'm not talking to you either." Or when he'd send a goodnight text, I'd reply, "Who's that for?" "Why no nickname, huh?" He'd immediately correct himself, "Good night, Vivian. Hope you dream of me tonight." Whenever he messaged me after taking a shower, I'd send 2 fixed words back. "Prove it." Then he'd send a picture of his glistening abs still damp with water. Sometimes he even FaceTimed me without warning. I'd be squealing and rolling around on my bed like an overcooked cinnamon roll. On Xiaohongshu, I kept posting updates, reading every comment like gospel. 1102 had been quiet lately, but then started asking me for love advice. Turns out she liked someone too, and had for 5 years. Since junior year of high school. It started when it was pouring rain, and that guy ran over and handed her an umbrella. It was a small gesture, but it stayed with her. After hearing that, I gave her my honest, serious advice. If you're gonna confess, at least bring flowers. And please choose the right moment. Like, don't blurt it out right after he says, "I need to use the bathroom." Timing is everything. The rest? Be creative. You'll do great. 1102 replied with a big OK sticker. Then my best friend came running in with tea. Turns out South Central High was hosting a reunion soon. And to my surprise, they invited me, too. Although I only attended South Central High for 1 year, Tiffany and I were close friends during freshman year. But after I transferred schools without saying a word, everything changed. I knew she was hurt. I left without a goodbye. Now, standing in front of me, she hesitated a moment before speaking. "Want to ride together to the class reunion?" Wow, that was surprisingly civil. She quickly added, "Not that I want to ride with you or anything. It's just more efficient. Saves time, keeps people from waiting." I couldn't help but laugh. "Right. And you totally don't like James Carter either, huh? You only said you did to mess with me. You asked for his number because of me, didn't you?" Tiffany blushed deep red. "Yeah, I did. So what?" "Nothing," I teased. "You're still just as adorable as back in freshman year, like a tiny bitter pill." She gave me a playful punch on the shoulder. "You're the worst." Fishball. Later, I messaged James to let him know I'd be going to the reunion with Tiffany. Looking back, I realized I'd gotten weirdly good at updating him about my daily schedule like it was a report. The class reunion was packed. Honestly, I didn't recognize most of the people there. Not many talked to me directly, and eventually, just a few familiar faces dragged me to karaoke. The class president laughed and said, "After you left, we had a new guy join, seriously handsome." The literature teacher chimed in, "We were going to introduce him to you, but he couldn't make it tonight. You two would have looked perfect together." Someone added, "Funny thing, Tiffany hated that new guy." Everyone turned to stare at her. My eyes followed. Feeling all eyes on her, Tiffany suddenly snapped, "Ugh! So what if I didn't like him? I just didn't." I laughed under my breath, finally feeling relaxed for the first time in ages. A few drinks in, and everything around me began to blur slightly. That's when I saw a figure at the door. Looked exactly like James Carter. Somewhere in the background, I heard the class president gasp, his voice muffled like it was underwater. "James Carter, why are you here? I thought you said you weren't coming." A hazy thought crossed my mind. Wait, how does the class president even know James? James didn't answer. He walked straight toward me, eyes burning with intensity. He gently lifted my chin and spoke with a softness I'd never heard before. I said I wouldn't come, but now I'm here to take my girlfriend home. It was like the entire room got hit by a school principal's surprise visit. Total silence. Tiffany, who was in the middle of cueing a song, put down the mic, rolled her eyes, and huffed. Ugh, fine. Whatever. Just go, you two. Standing next to each other like that is pissing me off. That night, under the soft yellow streetlights, I lay on James's back, grumbling out loud. My lips accidentally brushed against his hand. Who's your girlfriend? You haven't even properly confessed. You need, I don't know. Flowers. James chuckled, interrupted me, and gently set me down. Without missing a beat, he completed the sentence. Flowers. Got it. I stood there, dazed. Then, suddenly, a burst of red filled my vision. The scent of roses danced up to my nose. My knees almost gave out. James caught me effortlessly and placed the bouquet in my arms. He gently knelt down, so our eyes were level, looking at me with such steady warmth. His voice was calm, soft, but serious. At the very least, there should be flowers. I blinked. Then he smiled, his voice dipping into that lazy charm of his. I like you, Vivian. Be my girlfriend. His eyes sparkled like a puppy begging for affection, and I couldn't help it. I reached out, patted his head with a grin, tugging at the corners of my mouth. All right then, James. He took my hand and kissed it softly. And then, I blacked out. No joke. I passed out from pure emotional overload and woke up not remembering how I got back to the dorm. The next morning, Tiffany raised her arm to show off a bruise. Guess who I had to drag last night to get it? My best friend joined in, pointing to her scraped knee. Yup! And who else would hug the dorm water pipe while dancing and humming the wedding march all the way home? You and Daniel are definitely siblings, drunk and chaotic, just copy-pasted clones. I panicked. Wait, did James Carter see me like that? Bestie snorted. Honey, you two are dating now. What's there to worry about? Still, did I look worse than Daniel? I opened my phone, and a flood of texts from our old high school friends crashed in. Class president. Holy crap, James Carter is the transfer student who joined after you left. What's going on between you two? Literature class rep. Told you. You two looked so perfect together. I can't believe it's actually real. Congrats. Friend A. You guys are dating? Tiffany's probably passed out somewhere. I sneaked a glance at Tiffany, then slid over to sit beside her. Spill it. I need to know. Why don't you like James Carter? Tiffany shoved me back to my seat and huffed dramatically. Figure it out yourself. I had 0 leads. Suddenly remembered. I hadn't updated Xiaohongshu in hours. I posted something quick to satisfy the fans. I'm a genius. This love is so sweet, it should cost $2 million. Who let these two start dating? Don't believe me. I'll submit a report card right now. Then, 1102 commented, I confess too. I clicked on her profile to congratulate her and saw a new post titled 3 years ago. It had a photo of the crabapple trees at our old school and a blurry figure in the background. It was me. I gasped. Wait, we went to the same school? Why didn't you say anything sooner? That's me in that photo. 1102 replied, Actually, it was 5 years ago. Let's meet. We agreed to meet right under that same crabapple tree. It was blooming again, petals fluttering gently in the breeze. As I waited, I excitedly told James Carter about how crazy this coincidence was. But then, he appeared in front of me. Calm, confident. I'm 1102. In that moment, I felt something snap in my chest. Tight, overwhelmed, then broken free. I blinked. Wait, you're 1102? That means the person you've liked for 5 years was me? He nodded. Yeah. Even after that confirmation, I still couldn't recall the moment he lent me that umbrella. So he gently began retelling it, softly, slowly, trying to wake up that old memory in me. "It was November 2nd, 5 years ago," James began softly. "You probably went back to school that day to grab something, remember? It was pouring." He looked at me gently. "I was planning to run home in the rain, and then you showed up, smiling, holding out an umbrella." As he spoke, the memory hit me like a flash of light. I suddenly did remember that little moment. But before he could go on, I quickly covered his mouth. "Stop, don't tell the rest." Because the rest was, well, after I gave him the umbrella, I shared another one with Daniel to walk home. The two of us ended up fighting over it the whole way. I slipped, then he slipped. In the end, we came home like two drowned rats and got a full-on scolding from our parents. I thought back and pieced things together. So that's why Tiffany hated James, because of that umbrella. She probably felt like I had left a lasting memory with someone else, but not her. The warmth of James's breath lingered on my fingers. Even with half his face hidden, his eyes still overflowed with softness. Flustered, I pulled my hand back. He continued, "When I first joined that class, I asked around and found out you'd transferred. Later, I got your contact info, but I didn't dare send a request. All I could do was secretly follow your posts on Xiaohongshu." Then I admitted something too. "To be honest, I liked you for 3 years." A little regret bloomed in my voice. If just one of us had been brave a little earlier, we'd have already been together for years by now. James said nothing. His Adam's apple bobbed slightly, and he stepped closer. I instinctively held my breath and shut my eyes. But the kiss I was waiting for never came. Then he whispered, "Vivian, can I kiss you?" My hand tightened around his. I didn't say anything. Stupid boy. Who even asks at a moment like this? He must have gotten my silent answer, because the next second, he leaned in and kissed me. It was light, gentle, short, but behind it was 5 years of quiet, burning feelings. It melted everything. Later, James told me, "The moment I found out you liked me too, I couldn't sleep. I dreamed about you all night." He was glad I posted those things on Xiaohongshu, because it made him realize he could actually lose me. 1 year into dating, I secretly applied to a graduate school out of town without telling him. James was adorably sulky when he found out. "Why didn't you tell me your exam was this afternoon? I could have taken it too." I burst out laughing, rubbing his hair. "No way! I need to focus. If I'm near you, all I'll think about is you. I need to get serious." James respected my decision. Every week, whenever he had time, he made the trip to my school, just to see me, even if it was just once. I'd show up looking completely exhausted, pout and pinch his arm. "Why? How are you not stressed in grad school while I'm literally falling apart? Why do you keep getting hotter while I look like a mess?" He'd just smile helplessly and shrug. "Because I finished my research early," he'd say, "and my professors go easy on me." Then he'd add with a smirk, "Baby, you're not a mess. You're still the prettiest girl I've ever seen." Turns out, choosing a grad school out of town was the right decision. Now my brain didn't have time to think about James Carter 24/7. It was too busy being consumed by labs and research. I was exhausted, emotionally, physically, spiritually, almost fried. Every year during Lunar New Year, my family started celebrating together with James's family. Without fail, my dad got drunk and cried all over Mr. Carter again. Meanwhile, Mrs. Carter would pull me aside and whisper, "Vivian, do you still remember the first time we all gathered like this? Back then, you two said you weren't really dating, but your dad refused to believe it. He said he could tell just by looking at your eyes that you were not being innocent." I froze, not just because of my dad's ridiculous intuition, but because Mrs. Carter knew we were faking it at the beginning. She smiled and continued, "That night, James called us in the middle of the night, said he wanted to bring home the girl he'd liked since high school. He hadn't even confessed yet, but insisted we prepare a gift." We didn't have much, so the only thing we could think of was a house. As for the gold jewelry, James bought it himself with his scholarship money, but he asked us to give it to you, said you wouldn't accept it if it came from him directly. We were terrified of messing it up. We didn't sleep a wink that night. I looked over at James, who was now propping his chin on his hand, eyes half closed and smiling lazily. "Wife?" he called out, teasing. Daniel, who had been eavesdropping nearby, suddenly whipped out a tiny notebook and started jotting things down. He nodded solemnly. "Yup." "James, you're good. I'll do this next time too." My best friend leaned over and muttered, "Sure, let's pretend he could actually pull that off." As if on cue, just like she predicted, the next time our two families had dinner together. Daniel got drunk. Again. He grabbed her dad and started crying. "Sir, Dad, please let me marry Mimi. Let her come home with me." Then he turned to his girlfriend with a goofy grin and slurred, "Wife!" She looked so done. She couldn't even bring herself to look at him anymore. Meanwhile, James glanced over at me, smirking. Did he copy me just now? "Is that what I look like drunk?" I took his hand, smiled sweetly, and said, "Well, you definitely look smarter than that."